It wasn't clear whether or not producing artificial mana potions was legal since there were no legal precedents. Parliament could pass a law prohibiting the artificial creation of mana potions, but that would take time. The police could, however, arrest the Sherwoods on the grounds that their artificial mana potions had put the madhouse inmates in danger. That is, if the potions were indeed harmful. Were they, though? If they weren't, not only could Aiden not arrest Colton and Ariel Sherwood, he couldn't force them to stop making the potions either. Aiden couldn't let that happen. He had a duty. This mission came from the king himself. Johan, what do you think? The commander asked. Oh, there he is. What do I think about what? Is there really no evidence? Aiden immediately noticed Johan's hesitation. He seemed unsure of what to say, but he spoke finally while averting his gaze. We can't draw any conclusions from a single isolated incident. It could have been caused by many things, including the simple fact that Candela Carroll was mad. A mad person doing a mad thing isn't unthinkable. That's true, Aiden said with a sigh. But what about those questions you asked Oriel Sherwood? Do you suspect that the potions can cause people to hallucinate? I suspect that consumption of the potions is correlated with the development of psychosis in inmates, but well, it's only a hypothesis. Any scientist will tell you that, even if there is a correlation, it doesn't necessarily imply causation. So you don't think the Sherwoods are guilty? There's no proof that they're guilty. That's all I can say at that moment. At the moment.
Johan.
Joff Godwin interrupted.
Is that really what you think?
Yes, Joff said.
I understand that as a scientist, you need to know all the facts and follow certain procedures before you can arrive at a conclusion. But we don't always know all the facts, and oftentimes we have to make decisions based on the limited knowledge we have. That's what my team has to deal with every day. However, they're problem solvers. I expect them to give me answers if I ask them questions, because if they don't, I can't make any business decisions. Johan, if we don't do anything, the Sherwoods will continue to give the children at Eclipse these potions. Forget science for once. Stop being Professor Poe for a moment.
You tell him.
Do you think that the potions are dangerous? Would you let the children continue taking them?
Are the potions dangerous? That's the problem. I don't know. I drank that potion myself. Which is crazy. That's crazy for him to do. Okay, but it didn't make me psychotic or anything, did it?
No, that's because you have to drink them over a long period of time.
Well, maybe you have to consume large doses for extended periods of time before...
Yeah, he gets it.
And suddenly, Johan fell silent.
Johan?
It did. It affected me. Johan paused. Woolf, do you remember when we were talking at Eclipse after you found Drake? After I found Drake? That time, I thought I heard a scream. Aiden recalled what had happened after he found the boy. Johan had suggested that they come back the next day for the meeting when he interrupted himself. Did someone just scream? It wasn't Drake, was it? Scream? You didn't hear it? No. Huh. Did anyone else? No, I didn't. I didn't hear anything either. Oh, how strange. Was it just my imagination? Yes, I remember, Aiden said. You mean you were hallucinating? Possibly. After all, I was the only one who heard it, right? You, Colton, and Janice were there, but none of you heard anything. Oops, I did all their voices. Oh well. But didn't we hear another scream later that evening? Yes, the boy in the seclusion room, but now that I think about it, I think those screams may have been different. I might have hallucinated the first one. Then again, people mishear things all the time. That one little incident doesn't prove anything. Johann paused again, thinking for a long moment, but finally said, However, even though there's still no conclusive evidence, there have been a large number of warning signs. Joff's right. I have to consider what's best for the children. They're not just some inmates in a madhouse anymore. I've seen them, spoke with them.
They're human beings.
Killed one of them. Let's see. I personally know some of them, like Janice and Drake. Sherwood wants to give them a place where they live as themselves, which is probably why he thinks giving them artificial mana potions is worth the risk of psychosis, but he's wrong. I think he's wrong. My assistant convinced me that lunatics need help to recover from their lunacy. But these potions may actually aggravate their conditions. The professor took a deep breath before he continued, no longer hesitating. After the incident that ended with Candela Carroll's death, it's difficult not to conclude that the potions are dangerous. No, I'm fairly certain they are. The children should stop taking them immediately. That's what I needed to hear, Aiden said. Thank you, Johann. Commander Woolf left to report directly to the king, satisfied that he had fulfilled his duty. Now the fate of Colton and Oreo Sherwood, as well as Eclipse, was in the king's hands. Joff Godwin was relieved to know that the situation with Eclipse would soon come to an end. He didn't mind working with the police, but he had his own business to worry about. It was a shame, though, that he wasn't able to get cheap mana potions from Colton Sherwood. Granted, he had expected the deal to fall through because the potions were illegal. He supposed he should be glad he didn't end up buying them. The last thing he wanted was a bunch of workers hallucinating while they worked. He watched as Professor Poe reclined on the sofa. You must be stressed out, Professor. Now looking a lot more relaxed than he had when Woolf was here. Joff was wondering when the commander would return to debrief them when he heard someone knock on the door.
Come in.
He said.
That guy looks so suspicious.
I know. Are you part of the police? Are you some other stranger? What are you? Anyway. Good evening, my lord. The man in uniform greeted Joff as he stepped into the room.
He not only has a top hat, he has glasses and a mustache.
I know, and a cape. You're overdoing it, dude. For a second, Joff thought it was Woolf because of the familiar uniform, but it turned out to be another police officer.
He's so dressed up, it looks suspicious. All I can think of is that suspicious man right there.
I know, it's like, are all the police officers dressed like that?
I hope not.
My lord, Commander Woolf sent me to tell you that he will not be coming back here this evening. He will see you and Professor Poe tomorrow.
Where is he?
Going to the madhouse, my lord. Joff didn't like what he heard.
Taking matters in his own hands. What is he going to do at the madhouse this late?
Orders from the king. Burn it down! No, I'm kidding. That's not what he said. Creating dangerous mana potions that could harm the minds of our young people is an unforgivable crime. Everyone involved is to be executed immediately. That's just as bad as burning it down, like I just said.
Yeah.
I prefer he would have burned it down to the ground, but executed, yikes. Oh, here comes Johann. What did you say? Johann Poe sprang from the sofa. Did you fall asleep and sprung up from the... Anyway. I only said that the children should stop taking the potions. Those are the king's orders, Professor.
We don't disobey the king.
Not unless we want to be executed. That clearly didn't make Johann feel any better. He was seething. Oh, I've never seen him like that. Anyway. Joff wasn't feeling any better either. In fact, something the officer said bothered
He
him.
might be onto something, how he looks suspicious.
Oh, yeah. Everyone involved.
Oh, does that mean the children?
Children, no.
And the people in the adult ward?
Oh, yeah, them too. Who are still technically children. Who exactly was everyone? Couldn't he just say Colton and Oriel Sherwood? Mr. and Mrs. Sherwood? Or the Sherwoods?
Oh my gosh, what if he's gonna try to execute Poe and Joff and Commander Woolf because they're all involved? Not
Oh,
directly,
yeah.
but investigating, so they know.
Maybe. Because he did say everyone. Joff decided to ask.
Who do you mean by everyone involved?
Colton and Oriel Sherwood and all their employees, the policeman answered.
Oh no, Anna.
Oh, oops. Her, yeah, poor her. It was exactly what Joff
I
feared.
kind of forgot about her. Sorry.
I know, I forgot there was other adults in there other than the Sherwoods. Oh, that's you.
The nurses too? Aw, look, he's concerned.
Oh. Yes, my lord.
Not Anna. Aren't the employees innocent? What evidence is there to suggest their involvement?
They work under Colton Sherwood.
Doesn't mean they're bad. Just
I mean-
like how you have a top hat and glasses and a mustache doesn't mean you're necessarily suspicious.
Yeah, it's like, oh, because you're under this guy, we're gonna execute you too. It's like, that's not fair. We must assume they're involved.
So we can assume he's suspicious? You
Okay,
assume? You want to kill people based on an assumption?
Joff's own tone surprised him.
It's like, oh, why do I care so much?
He didn't usually explode like this, even when he was angry.
Yes, I understand he likes Anna. What a weird person to like, though, after all they've been through.
Those are the king's orders, my lord. The king's orders? Was that the only thing this stupid policeman could say? Since when could a policeman talk about the king's orders?